Hi all, this is BRF. In this session, we will see what are all the folder structures are being added to your ASP.NET 4.5 project, and what is the use of those folders and what it contains exactly inside of folders. Basically, this video help you to understand the basic fundamentals of popular, Microsoft ASP.NET MVC for developing web applications. So it's very essential to get started, basic things to get started to creation of your ASP.NET project, and really it helps you to get started with Microsoft ASP.NET MVC. So generally, this ASP.NET application by default depended on heavily on conventions. So it follows some naming conventions when creating a folders. This allows developers to avoid having to configure and specify things within that can be inferred based on convention by adding code through scaffolding. And this is what the terminology using in MVC called as scaffolding folder structure. Scaffolding is nothing but in a temporary folder structure where it has some convention. Based on the convention, it will create a folder, and within that folder, we'll be having relevant files which has some purpose. So MVC is designed around some sensible convention-based defaults that can be overridden as needed as per the requirement. So if you look at the creation of the MVC project step by step, and we'll see some different project folders. If you look at here, this is my MVC project I have been created. It has some folders like app data, abstract, content, controllers, font, models, scripts, views, etc., etc. I have so many folders here, and these are the files being added by the new project here. So as I told you, the MVC is designed around some sensible convention. So this concept is commonly referred as convention over configuration, with the popular concept of Ruby or Rails programming language. This convention over configuration concept implemented in ASP.NET MVC with the help of following main directories. So this is something called the based on the need or based on the purpose and based on the context, it will create a folder name. Let us say, like if you look at here, app data. This basically defines convention as app data, and its name itself saying that it contains some application data kind of thing. And look at this abstract, content, controllers, and models. The name itself has some definition. That is what the convention by default, this ASP.NET have this design principle that is called as a convention over configuration kind of thing. Okay. So now, what is this ASP app underscore data? When creating any new project in MVC, a couple of files and folders are being created automatically. One of those folders are called as this app data. So app data is essential a storage of point for file-based data store. Like if you want to keep some data in the file, like an XML or flat file or CSV file, then you will put those files into this particular folder and can be accessed in the code. So apart from connecting through your SQL server, because I thought that like connecting to the SQL server and hosting to the SQL server may have some charges for DB, which has some expensive. Then I thought that I will going to create a flat file using an XML or some CSV file or some XML file where I can store data and I can use that in my application. So that time what I will do is I will create a file and I will put into this particular app underscore data. So app underscore data generally have the essential storage point of file-based content. Okay, coming to the abstract. So this is nothing but abstract. You can make files inside the folder which executes when application started, like application start inside the global.asx.cs file. So when global.asx.cs file, when application start function is being started to execute your application, then automatically what are all the files you have been specified inside this application app underscore start folder, all these files can be executed by default. If you want to put some another file, like as of now it is adding 5 files: bundle config and filter config and identity config and root config and startup on that CS file. So these files are being by default added in the app underscore start, and if you are adding another file, that file also being executed when application start during the execution of your request. So basically this will execute when app underscore start method executes in the global.asx.cs file. inside the global.asx. So this is what the purpose of this one. And again, if you come to bundle config, so basically to create and register bundles for CSS and JS files. By default, various bundles are added in this file. Files including jQuery, jQuery UI, and jQuery validations by default. So if you want to specify anything which is related to bundling concept, you have to add it here. So by default, these are being added: content, CSS, Bootstrap, Modernizer, and jQuery, and these are the files by default. So these will be bundling. This will be bundled and can be downloaded in a single DOM area. This is one more feature we have in .NET Visual Studio 2015. It's not there in the earlier versions, like bundling and minification feature. So this is we'll see later on this, because it takes some more time to discuss about bundling and minification. So basically, this bundling configuration file the CS file contains the bundling details, and filter.config this contains about the adding of your filters, basically, like error filters, action filters, etc. By default, it contains handle error attribute like this one. If you want to add another attributes like error attributes or action filter attributes and some more attributes, you can add it here, so that this will execute value application starts. And again, identity config, this actually contains the identity of your ASP.NET. When you create an ASP.NET application, by default, it will create an identity, user permissions, and we want to make some changes to your identity of even ASP.NET user, then you can specify things in this identity config file. And coming to root config.cs file, this is used to register various root patterns of your ASP.NET application. By default, one root is registered. If you look at here, this is what the default root it is being registered, like home and index. If you want to specify another routing pattern, you can specify it here, so that it will execute while your application start. And coming to the startup auth.cs file, it has the stuff of your authorization related stuff of your application, like account login details and your identity related things can be specified here by default, like Active Directory or some more things which related to your network user or ASP.NET user. If you want to specify those related things, you can specify it here in the startup.auth.cs. So these are the default files which are being added when you create an ASP.NET MVC project. And this is about app start. And next folder is content. So content folder is nothing but these design related files are being added here. Look at CSS files, Bootstrap and Bootstrap min file site.css. These are the design related stuff. So this is what the structure it is by default following. So all the CSS files being added here. Going forward, if you want to add or create a new CSS file, you have to add it here, so that it will follow some convention as per the ASP.NET MVC. And coming to the controller, this is what the MVC format. Like all the controllers are being added here by default: account controller, home controller, manage controller. So this is what the default controller. And please be ensure that all the controller CS files should have end with a controller name, so that it recognize that this file is belongs to controller class library kind of thing. So all the controllers are being added here. This is the controller folder. And fonts, again, this is related to your design stuff. And models, this is about your models. So by default, it is being added 3 models. If you want to add any other model with entity framework kind of thing, then it will add that model here under this models folder, and it has the database logic. And if you come to scripts, and so it has some JavaScript files or other scripting files which related to client side rendering and client side validations kind of thing will be added to the scripts folder. And coming to this, the views, this is what the presentation and UI, aspects being added here. By default, it add account, home, manage, and shared kind of thing. Also, it adds layouts, all the layouts being added here. So if you want to add any other views or layouts, you have to add it on this folder only. Then only it will recognize, because similar kind of syntax being specified in the root config.cs file, and we should follow some standard and the root pattern. Then only it will recognize your layout or your view and executes from here this particular path. And coming to the application insights.config, this basically is a good feature introduced in 2015. Before earlier versions, we don't have this particular config file. This is nothing but the Google kind of data analytics kind of thing. If you look at Google Analytics and app, it will analyze your results, and it will analyze your request, and it will show you the counters, like how your result and request being processed, and what are all the counters involved, and what are all the requests and handlers involved during processing of your request. And it will capture the data, and it will give you the analytics report. Similar kind of things we have in 2015, and we'll discuss more on this because it takes another topic, and we'll see in later versions. This we can switch off while you're creating a project, as I shown you before. When you start creating a new project, we have a checkbox at the right side. If you uncheck that, it won't add it to your project. If you uncheck, it won't add it. If you check it, it will add it. And if you look at here, it has Google Statics. I mean, this ASP.NET Statics here, it will give you. So what are the request and page view metrics, exception, dependency, custom event, all these things can be given you. If you run the application, it will capture all these things here, and show you as a this analytical report. This is what the good feature. We'll see more on this next. And this coming to the next favorite icon. This is what the default favorite icon it is giving. If you want to add your own favorite icon with related to your company or organization, or your the firm which you are working on giving this development, then you can add it here. And global.a6 file, this is what the main file, where it has all the events about your application, start and end kind of thing. And this is packages config file. This is basically one more feature we have. When you install anything into your project, it will place that in assembly and the information into your package folder, so that you have a track like what kind of version a file being used in this particular project or not. If you look at here, all the things have been installed with the NuGet. That is what the reason it has put all the lines here. So with the version number. So basically, this packages.config file uses it for tracking of your script files installed onto your project. And coming to the project readme.html file, this contains the project details. When you create a project, so what kind of template it is being selected while you're creating a project, that particular thing can be constructed as an CSS file, and going inside, going the bottom level, you'll see the content. If you browse this, you will be seeing like so what it exactly contains. So it contains the default project details. So what folder you have been selected, how it is being rendered into a solution kind of thing. It is what the default structure it is giving. So this is just giving the description and the explanation about the project you have been selected when you create a project. And startup.css, it contains the startup details of your CSS, the configuration, so where it starts from here. And web.config, it's generally we have single web.config file for each and every website. So we should not create multiple config files, and this by default added to your website, where it has all the configurations which related to your project. And from here, it will start execution of connection string and session and cookies and other activities which related to your HTTP compression or caching, or app settings, and other things can be considered from this file. So hope this clears like what is what in the MVC folder structure when you create a new project, and this clears like how we are going to use these folders going forward for the specific need. Thank you.